a lot for being with us. As always, joined now by the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer. And Don, a big day for Indiana yesterday is for a lot of reasons. First and most importantly, they get a very important win over Michigan State. And after all of the dice laid out, or whatever you want to call it, everything, the chips fell where they may. Indiana ends up with a 6th seed in the Big Ten tournament, which is about as well as they could have, if things could have been expected to go for Indiana at this point, but not bad. After a week and a half ago, maybe we were looking at Indiana fighting their way out of the bottom 4. So a big change. And then a lot of things come out of yesterday. Trey Galloway, Anthony Leal announced that they're coming back. So a lot to get to.
Well, without question, the fact that Indiana was able to win the last 4 ball games of the season to go into the Big Ten tournament, where they have always seemed to struggle for the most part since that tournament came into being back in the 90s. There's little question that Indiana winning yesterday was huge. And to beat Michigan State, who's a team that always gives everybody trouble, and to pick up a 4th straight victory in that regard, and then to become the 6th seed because of everything falling into place with all the other teams that needed to lose a ball game, or the other teams that needed to win. They find themselves in the number 6 spot, which is really, really cool. And without question, they've got a route right now to the Big Ten championship game. They really actually have that route if they can play some of their best basketball here in the tournament.
Yeah, Trey Galloway was very limited yesterday. Matter of fact, just played 7 minutes, and you could see the effect of not having him in there. The flow wasn't quite the same, but Indiana managed to get through that with Xavier Johnson and Gabe Cupps, and a great start. A great start to that game, and Mackenzie Mbako, Malik Renew, both having good first halves, 10 points to end that half. They kind of disappeared in the second half, but part of that was because Kel'el Ware just took over.
Well, Kel'el Ware was spectacular yesterday, and he continues to be. I think as the season has progressed, we've seen him play harder. We've seen him provide double-doubles on a consistent basis. He's had 14 double-doubles. I think 3 of the last 4 ball games he's had a double-double. He is just playing terrific basketball right now. I would not be surprised to see him be an all Big Ten player this year. I think he could very possibly. I think right now you could argue that he's one of the top 5 players in this league, the way he's playing. I mean, he's just playing that well, and I'm proud of him for what he's been able to accomplish because of the tags that he had on him coming from Oregon, and supposedly not being a motivated guy, or I don't know if they said he wasn't coachable, but he certainly didn't have the big motor that everybody was anticipating that he would have at Oregon. But he comes to Indiana. This coaching staff, you got to give them credit. Mike Woodson and his staff for getting this guy to play hard. He plays hard every time he goes out on the floor now. And he is providing what Indiana has needed for some time now, is a dominant big man inside. And without question, he is really keying this ball club at this point.
There's no other way to say it, and especially with the second half that he had. At the free throw line, he scared. I think he scared a lot of people yesterday. He goes 0 for his first 5 and hits the one and only shot that was needed as Indiana. That was the winning point for Indiana in that game. But I'm sure that before that last free throw, boy, there was a lot of people holding their breath.
Well, there's no question. I mean, because he had missed his first 5 shots at the line yesterday. That was the only thing that he wasn't accomplishing in the ball game, because everything else that he did was excellent. He had a couple of blocks in the contest too. But everybody was holding their breath when he shot that last free throw, and he did make it. It went down. And then, of course, Michigan State. I think the play of the game, however, was what Anthony Leal did coming over to help on Tyson Walker, who drove the ball down, got a shot off at the end, but he got off a shot that was rushed a little bit, or maybe not rushed so much as got off balance because he never got in position because of the help that Anthony Leal came over and was able to help Xavier Johnson and guarding Tyson Walker in that last play of the ball game for Michigan State, which ended up in a rebound for Xavier Johnson. And then, of course, he ran the ball down the floor, dribbled the ball down the floor all the way to the other end as time ran out. So it was a wonderful win for this Indiana basketball team, who really needed that positive, that momentum going into the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen Xavier or anybody run that fast with a basketball before. When he grabbed that last rebound, he took off to the other end to run out the last second or so in the game and secure that win for Indiana, which is huge. Like I said, now they go on to the Big Ten tournament, and not only do they get a 6 seed done, they're not in the avenue of having to play Illinois or Purdue.
No, they do not, and that's really good news. They have to, if they're going to meet one of those two teams, it's going to have to be in the championship game of the Big Ten tournament. They actually play Penn State or Michigan in the first game on Thursday. My gut is it'll be Penn State because Michigan has really struggled. I can't remember the last time they got a win, to be quite honest about it. But Penn State has beaten Indiana twice this year. And Indiana needs to get them back, give them back one, because there's no doubt. I think Indiana is a better team than Penn State is, but they've gotten beat twice. Once the home game pretty dramatically, I think 14 points or something like that, and they lost by 9 to them when they played them at Penn State. And they've kind of had Indiana's number this year, despite the fact that they're a team that's playing in the first day of the tournament. I think have 11. They have what's I can't even remember what their record is in conference play this year, but it's not good enough to be anything but in that final or the last 4 teams out. So I look at it from this perspective. Indiana has their destiny right in front of them. They could actually make it to the title ball game because 2 teams that have beaten them twice, Penn State would be the likely opponent on Thursday. And if that happens and Indiana would win that game, they would play a Nebraska team that also beat them twice this year to get to the title. Unbelievable.
It truly is, because I honestly believe that Indiana is as good as both of those teams, as you said, and if not better. They just did not play the game that they need to play. They didn't shoot the ball well enough, and they're going to have to defend the 3 better in both of those games. You have, of course, oh my gosh, Tominaga, who goes off for Nebraska. They have to check him if they get to him. But of course, first they've got to control Penn State. But like, I agree with you. This team, they're as good or better than both of those teams. They just were not playing well enough, like they are right now.
And I think such a key to them playing up to their capability is the health of Trey Galloway right now. I know they won over Michigan State without him for the most part in that ball game yesterday. But he did score 5 points in that 7 minutes that he was out there, knocked down a 3-point shot, which, we love to see that because he struggled in that department this year. But that's about the only thing he struggled at, because he has played so well, especially here at the end of the season when they've needed him to be a major factor. And he has ran the offense extremely well. X has been out there, and X is kind of the wild card. He can have a phenomenal ball game, and actually he knocked down a 3 in that contest yesterday.
Big time 3, very important one.
It was the one that gave him the lead back, right? I mean,
yeah.
It was huge in that context, and without doubt, I mean, X is the wild card, I think, but if Trey Galloway's not available, they're going to have other people step up. Anthony Leal played 27 minutes yesterday, almost 28 minutes in that ball game. Didn't score a single point. Took 4 shots in the ball game. That's not normal for him. He's capable of knocking down some shots. But all of a sudden Anthony Leal becomes a factor for this ball club because his defensive play yesterday was excellent.
It was.
He continues to play really good at the defensive end of the floor. And he can make shots. He's just got to start knocking them down again. And he's had a couple of ball games this year where he was able to do that. But again, we're looking to hope that Trey Galloway is available and capable of playing in this tournament because I think he's going to be needed.
Yeah, because Trey Galloway and Anthony Leal, they're not the same player. They're not playing the same position. But I will say that Anthony Leal's defense is better than Trey's. He was watching him yesterday, man. He was on it like white on rice. He was just sticking with his man. He might have played as good a defense as anybody on the floor yesterday for Indiana. It was fun to watch him, but they do need that offensive output. Not getting that from Gabe Cupps either hurts the team a little bit. So they're going to have to find some offensive output.
No question. And Trey is one of those guys that he's not going to score big numbers very often, but he can. If he gets that 3-point shot going, he can factor in that regard. But he does such a great job of doing or running what the offense needs to have run. And his treks to the rim, because he goes to the rim quite often. He tries to drive that basketball. His feeds to Kel'el Ware for those alley-oop dunks. Obviously, those are all very, very important for this ball club. But they won without Trey yesterday for the most part. And I think that's a real positive and another confidence builder for this basketball team. Because let's face it, throughout this season, what's been one of the real issues with this team? Sometimes they just don't make shots and the confidence level drops below the norm. And all of a sudden, they're making shots. They didn't shoot at Superstar yesterday, but they were 6 of 17. That's 35% from the three-point line. That's like some teams are doing. I mean, Michigan State was 32%. They hit just 8 of 25. But the three-point shot is such a critical thing these days. And you've got to have somebody that can make them and can spread the floor so that the inside guys can do what they do.